First of all, it is not a talk, okay? So maybe we have a chance to talk to each others. That one will be a better for everybody. So if you can unmute yourself and let's talk. What I know, it is the first time you hear subject called apologetics. I'm right?
It seems like it's a topic that everybody's very interested in hearing about.
Yep. So that type of subject, it is under the category of apologetics. Usually apologetics came from the Greek word apologia, which defense. That one happened since the 2nd century from the church history. Somebody is defend our faith. Defend our faith. The subject, as you know, it is man's free will and the God authority. Before we go more deep, just why we are talking about that, like kind of that sophisticated subject. It is not sophisticated. If you hear to the media, maybe during the Corona era, they are talking about if we are praying, that one it will change the matter. Whatever God said, it will be God. Really, God care about us? Does God has a wrath on us? A lot of talks, a lot of thoughts. Maybe we didn't think about it before. So usually there is a nice book called The Idea Have Consequences. That book is talking about the idea to have a consequences and the mind. You can see my screen, guys?
Yes.
Okay. Idea have consequences and the mind does matter. The thought that we entertain tend to influence our choices. Belief leads to behavior. The human being, it is very sophisticated. Since we are logical creations, so the mind usually lead us. If you need to change the behavior of somebody, you have to change his thoughts, his idea. That one is very clear when you see the fanatic people. They push them by that way. They change their mind. Maybe the history has an idea like Hitler. Hitler, he has a belief about the Darwinism. So he assumed that their race, it is the superior one, and he should maintain it clear. And that idea led him for Holocaust. On the other hand, you are with me, guys?
Yes.
Okay. On the other hand, if you take a look for the Red Cross is based on the Bible. And if you take a look for the verse at the end, whatever you have learned and received it and heard and seen in me, practice these things. So the Bible emphasizes on that items. If you need to change the behavior, the attitude, you have to change the mind. So maybe in our church for years, we just used to have a faith, which is great, of course. But now we have a challenge in our society. They are challenging not our faith, but they are challenging our principles. So sometimes the apologetic is talking how we just like put a rational for our faith, rational for our faith. Let's go for that subject. What the definition of the free will of man? What the definition? What do you think? And when you hear that subject, what is jump in your head? Maybe you think that some have said that it is referred to the ability to desire. Like Solomon, he said that and whatever my eyes desire, I did not keep from them. Whatever I need it, whatever I like it, whatever I desire it, I am free to have it. That one is not a free will, because desire is a passion, but the will is a choice. Sorry, just be patient for that rough material a little bit, and then I'll give you a chance to ask and we'll talk. Some other thought that maybe the free will, that I can do whatever I want to do. So there is no choice. If I like to eat and I'm just eating, non-stop eating, that one is not a free to choice. So they came up by the idea that the definition of the free wills means the ability to make an forced decision between two or more alternatives. So I am free to choose, not to desire. So that one is very, very important definitions. The free will, it is to choose between alternatives, not to desire a certain option. Let's read a little bit and I'll start to ask. So unmute yourself and think about that. And the Lord commanded the man, saying, you may surely eat of every tree of the garden, but of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil you shall not eat. So the commandment, it was not to eat. You can eat from every tree except that tree of knowledge. For in the day you eat of it, you shall surely die. So God gave Adam, or the man, the choice. The first question for you, God was challenging Adam in this commitment or what? Hello?
Could you repeat the question?
Again, was God challenging Adam about that commitment when he asked him, you can eat except from that tree, the tree of knowledge? He was challenging him, do you think? What do you think?
If you mean challenge, I don't think he was challenging him in the sense that he was wanting him to eat from the tree. But if he, I guess this is what you mean by, if we have a choice, then we don't have, the fact that we had a choice to choose between whether to obey God or to disobey God, that shows our willpower, or that's our will. Otherwise, anything that Adam would have done would have been fine. So he's not necessarily challenging him, but he's giving him the ability or the free, the reason to, or giving him the ability to have free will.
Perfect. He gave him the ability to have a free will. Why?
I think, though, God isn't challenging him, but God is the God of truth. So he's letting him know, warning him because out of his love for him, that if you eat of this tree, you shall surely die. So it's out of love and out of care that I'm giving you wisdom. I'm giving you the truth so that you may live, not so that you may die.
Very good.
And if you choose death, then understand that that's what you chose. But know that when you choose the wrong choice against the truth of what God's telling you, then you're going against life.
I like what Raymond just said, because if you take out, if you take out the last the last verse, where it says, "For in the day that you eat of it, you shall surely die." What happens if you take out that in itself? Because then it would be God compelling him. Then God would be compelling him, and if he's actually compelling him, then there's no free will. And what Raymond is saying, by him actually saying out of love, telling him that if he eats of that tree, then he is to exercise the free will. So I think that it's essential that you have the entire verse from Genesis to be added there, to be part of that.
Okay. So there is some question mark, right? You agree with me, guys?
Well, if I might, it sounds like, because I think what Ray is missing is that God didn't have to put the tree there in the first place. He could have locked it up or hidden it away, or just not given them the ability to eat from the tree at all. And but having choice means having the ability to do it. If you can't do a thing, then you don't have the freedom to do that. That's not free will. There's an old saying from Ford, when they first started manufacturing cars, you could choose any color you want as long as it's black, because that's all they made was black. So you weren't really free to choose any other colors.
Yep, I agree with you in a way, but it is not the story. Like San Athanasius, when he comprehended that verse, what's he's talking? He said Adam himself, he got a special gift from God to be in his likeness. To have that special gift, to maintain it, he must be in a connection with God. But since God knows Adam has a free will, he can choose to stay or not to stay, he gave him two protection. The first protection, he kept him in the garden. He kept him in the garden away from any other influence on him. The second one, he gave him a warning. To warn him, if you leave me, you will die. You will be back not like as I formed you. I give you special gift to live forever if you keep the connection to me. So he was begging him, please keep that connection to me. So, but Adam must practice that, he must practice his free will to choose to stay with God or to keep himself away from God with his own free will. So when he told him, you can eat, except that one is warning. If you go eat from that tree, you are separating yourself from me. If you separate yourself from me, you will die. So when we read it in the light of St. Athanasius, we will know now the dilemma. The dilemma is Adam was free to live forever if he kept the connection to God. Like if you charge your cell phone, if you didn't connect, if you didn't plug it, it will die. So he was encouraging him, please keep yourself. But as we said, by what happened, he chose not to. He chose not to, so he practiced his free will against the will of God. So that one, so Adam has a free will to choose to stay with him and live forever, or to stay away from him and die. And Adam chose that. This is what St. Athanasius said on that part. So as you can see here, although God, he need Adam to live forever, Adam because of Satan game he made it, he keep him away from that one. So here it is clear that the free will of God, the free will of man, Adam was able to choose to live or to die. And that one very clear when Jesus said to Jerusalem, said that one, how many times I was trying to gather your children, but you didn't want. So here, the definition of the free will, we have option to choose between, we have to option multiple alternative, and with our own free will, we can choose. That one is clear?
Yes.
Any objection? I'm here to listen to objections.
I think it's also whether it's a level of trust that you can know that what is being given is this leading to life or leading to death. Adam knew that what God said is truth, but I guess it's not that he didn't trust him, but he trusted in his own ego, thinking that he can do something wrong and still come back to God.
Maybe, but it was clear. It is the
Yes.
problem is not he wasn't obey God. No. Yeah, it is part of it. But the whole story, there is drawback. He will face it if he disconnect himself from God.
So, Sherif, you're looking for objection.
Yep.
This is my question is, how do we know what Adam understood that his connection to God is his source of life? Did Adam knew that when he was created on God's image? Did he know that he was special in a certain way, that that's how he was connected to God? The source of his life is his connection. How do we know he understood that he's not different from the rest of the creation?
Very good question. Any answers? Any thoughts? For sure, the Bible didn't say anything why he's so special, but there is some hint there. Adam was able to call all the creation by their names. Do you think how how great his mind was? Even with computers now, it is very tough for us to create very large names. And if you take a look, he put like some example spelled out on the Genesis. He put like a rational. I call it lion because I call him blah blah because. So he was superior. He wasn't like us now, I believe. Because he was able to talk to God. He has a lot of dialogue between him and God. He was able to realize his voice, to realize his steps in a way. So he wasn't super. So whatever here, I believe it is like a summary. But if we take a look for that, because since God is fair, he cannot just give him like a vague comment and he assume he will choose the right one. I believe so.
Okay, so I have a question. Why, if so, part of the manipulation of the serpent was that he manipulated Eve, which led to manipulating Adam. And sometimes people use whatever scripture or the truth and try to manipulate it to mean something else or to make it fit within their own way of thinking. I mean, I have my own thinking of how I would handle that, but I'd like to hear how would we defend the faith in the proper way when somebody takes what we know to be truth and manipulate it against us.
Okay, just wait with me 10
Okay,
minutes and we'll
sure.
go for that. I was planning not to say that slice, but looks like we have to go. Okay, let's go for the second slide. Now we talk already about the free will of man. What about God? What the meaning of authority of God? We said it on the Mass. I found on the Bible, yours, O Lord, is the greatness and the power and the glory and the victory and the majesty, for all that is in the heaven and in the earth is yours. Yours is the kingdom. O God, you are exalted as head above all. So God, He is the master. He controls everything. That one, it is the meaning of God's authority. He can control over His kingdom. If we say that the man has a free will and the God, He has authority, so looks like we have a conflict. You agree with me? Why we can say that when there is a conflict? If God, who is all-knowing, all-good, all-powerful, is in control, why did Adam not follow God's command? If we say it was God's plan, in this case, there is no free will for Adam. You agree? If he has a plan and he knows that there is a plan, looks like there is some kind of conflict. Adam didn't have a free will to practice. If we say Adam practiced his free will, that means the authority of God is limited. There is kind of conflict between that one and this one. We need to talk about it. We need to talk about a lot of stuff. But before we go for that one, maybe I'll stop for 5 minutes and I'll talk about some stuff called epistemology. You are with me, guys? Hello?
Yes. Yep.
Yep. Epistemology, how we know what we know is right. If you have a fact, just bear with me. That one is a little bit tricky. I was planning not to present it, but anyhow. If we have kind of belief, how we can know is it right? In philosophy, there is 3 tests you have to apply for any fact: logical consistency, empirical adequacy, experiential relevant. What does it mean? It must, the first one, the logical consistency, let's say, is it rational? What I mean, when St. Paul, when he was defeating the resurrection in 1 Corinthians 15, he was talking about when they told them, are you sure when we go for resurrection, we'll change our body? He took the example of the seed. If the seed didn't die and has another form, so when we raise up at the resurrection, we'll have a different body. You can see that one at 1 Corinthians 15:36. So is it rational? It could happen, yes. It makes sense, Yes, not everything we can test it by that, but part of it we can say, is it irrational? It could happen. It makes sense, yes or no? If I know some fact, there is no any conflict to each other. The second test, they use it, the empirical adequacy. If there is a way to verify these facts empirically, how we can verify it? Let me remind you, when Jesus, after resurrection, appeared to his disciples, the disciples got shocked and assume he's a ghost, right? What Jesus did, he's very simple. They asked them, the ghost has no body. Come and touch me. Do you have eat? Let's have a dinner together. Ghost cannot eat. So to assure them, he is a raised Christ. He used first of all to give them kind of experience, empirical, they can test it. After that, he go for the scriptures and talk about the scriptures and explain everything for them. For the other two disciples, he give them a communion to open their eyes. But first, he start with their mind. The third one, how does it is really meet me when I am in my daily life? What we are talking about. Anybody see it before? Anybody experienced before? Like for the resurrection of Jesus, they said very nice way. They said after he died on the cross, many bodies of the tombs, after his resurrection, they went into the holy city and appeared to the many. A lot of people raised up from death, but they appear to their relatives after he raised up. So imagine in Jerusalem, there is a lot of people. I can see my grandfather is coming to welcome me. What's heck is that? It's one different. So they give them like a different experience. They have to test it. Like if you go back for the serpent, the woman, so any idea, is it rational? How we can verify it? How we can face it in life? Is it rational? We compare it to the original language written. We compare it to the history of the way, the time when they wrote that one or happened that time. We refer to the fathers, how they comprehend that one. And then we can say, is it rational, yes or no? Because anybody can say anything, but it should be kind of consistency. We cannot say that like God is a bad boss because we saw him very angry in a certain situation. We cannot say that one. We have to study the whole Bible to know where. So when one of the reasons when Jesus came in flesh, just to introduce again the God. Who is God? Because he talked to us in his son or through his son to see who is he. Does God accept the sinners? Yes, because Jesus accepted. He introduced himself. Did he has a pity on poor people? Yes. He came to destroy or to heal. We just start to know what is going on. So there is a lot of way we can test our knowledge. They call it epistemology. Sorry, I didn't write it here. That one is a clear point. That one answer your questions? Hello?
Yes, I followed along.
Yeah. That one make kind of sense to you, or I need to explain it more?
I think I struggle a little bit with the logical makes total sense because that's based on obviously logic. Empirical and experiential. Empirical is based on observation and experience, but so does experiential.
Yep.
So how do you differentiate?
Yeah, because we must have a different tools to evaluate any thoughts. We cannot evaluate the thoughts with one way. Because if you go for rational, that one it will make logic to me or to you or in general. Maybe you will be disagree on this point. So we have to see it, what is going on. So like when they are talking about God, what they say that one, God is unlimited, right? So they put like, what, how you see, how big is he? The answer is, we don't know. It is unlimited. What meaning unlimited? We don't know. Like when we say God is holy, agios, it means non-earth. He's not related to the earth. It is above our measures. So our empirical in this case, we don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But on the other hand, we can say that one, we have experience with him. If you take a look how he deal with others, we can see he is a good one.
Mm-hmm.
He was good. When he talked to Moses, he said that one, look, I am the Father, I am the God of Abraham, Isaac, Jacob.
Mm-hmm.
How I deal with them, how I reveal myself for him, I'm a good one. So he give him experience. Maybe Moses at that time has no empirical, he has no logical to comprehend what's going on, but for sure he has a history about the experience his fathers face it with that God. So introduce himself to them. I am the father of Abraham. Look how merciful I was, how was good I was, how much I was caring to about him. So look, I'm the God of him. I'm talking to you. So he give him. So to test a certain information, maybe we are able to use 3 of them, or we can use some of them, 2 of them, or so. But that one will give us a complete pictures. Like the same concept when we are using 4 gospels.
Mm-hmm.
To take a look for God from different perspective, to have a better understanding. But that one will have full understanding about God? No, but we will have better understanding about him. We can know how he cares, how he is the link between the Old Testament and the New Testament, how he is a good servant, how is he a holy one. So that one give us like a better understanding who is God. And then second step, to live with him, so you will have your experience. Maybe the gospel will give you the first item, maybe it will give you the second one, but for sure the third one, when you will live with him, will give you different perspective to that life. So to test any information, usually In philosophy, they use that experience to use it. Like there is a very famous question has been asked: who creates your God? Who creates your creator? Who creates your creator? That one is unlogical question, first of all, because by definition, if you have a creator, by definition, God is the first cause. So nobody will cause. But usually the people going on that one, they ask, how can God create a big stone? He cannot carry it. That one on the, by the way, it is on the philosophical books. A lot of them like that. So they are talking about the rational or the logical way of thinking. So to test anything, it should be comprehended, consistent, and relevant to our life. You cannot say like you cannot imagine, but if you cannot meet the three of them, so you should have a doubt about that information. To be a logical, especially for the Bible, to be a logical, especially on the Bible, you have to study by the original language, to know the history, to know the political at that time, to know the language, because the language, it is changing from time to time. And then you have to refer to the old fathers, how they comprehend it, and so on. Do I need to clear anything, or it is not clear?
Yeah, we're good.
Okay. Okay, we'll go for that one. If we say there is a conflict between the extreme authority point of view and extreme free will, and there is orthodox, it doesn't show in the books like orthodox, but they call it the middle way. So it is the meaning of that one. When we're talking about not God control, I'll start with next slides and we'll come back. God foreknowledge. God foreknowledge. Some people, maybe in Christian way, by the way, not in the media. For the extreme, they mention that God knows with certainty everything that will happen in the future, including all the free will action. You agree with that one? God knows everything that will happen in the future, including.
Yes, I agree with that.
Yeah. But okay, let's read the second one. Nothing can change that. It is fixed and immutable. The meaning of that one, or the philosophy, or the point of view about that one, God put a certain plan. He knows that. He planned, not knows. He planned that Sherif will talk today to your group, and he will say 1,100 words in his talk. I set a plan for that. You know what I mean? That's mean like it is like a story. Like if a writer write a book, the character inside the story has no free will. They cannot choose anything because a certain plan. So the extreme authority point of view, they assume God knows everything because will happen in the future, including the free will action. So in this case, it will not be a free will because it is pre-prepared before. Nothing can change it. It is fixed. God omniscient, and omniscient, that means he's all-knowing. He knows everything, cannot be wrong about anything. Hence, if he knows what is going to happen, it must happen exactly. That one from the point I ask, I put a plan for Jude to petrify me. He cannot change it. You agree with that? That one is very common question. Usually the people ask for that one. If we adopt that point of view, that's mean there is a conflict, because we just pray the Psalm 50 or 51 say, we told him, you will be clear if I stand in front of you. If Judah has no choice to choose to do what he did, God cannot say to him, why you did? Why you did? Sometimes people use terminology and lead to a bad action. In this case, some people, when they are away from God, they said that one, you know what? If God needs me to come back, I'll come back. I have no will. It is God's choice. Do you know that the Muslim they use, I'll use it in Arabic, المكتوب على الجبين لازم تشوفوا العين. Whatever it is written in the forehead, you must see it. Whatever God planned, you must see it. That's mean I have no free will. On the other hand, the extreme point of view, they said that one, God knows only what is flow from unnecessarily order of cause. What's mean? God knows that I'll touch a surface has a coronavirus. So he might know that Sherif will get corona, but Sherif could not get a corona. Sherif is a tempered guy. So if he put in bad situation, usually he will lose his temper because he is easy to get angry. So since our free action are based on choices, God cannot know them for sure. Future is not immutable. They say that one, you know what? God just create us and give us the free will. We do whatever we want to do. God will be limited. God just wait and watch what we will do. Those two points of view, you can hear it among the Christians or among the media. Some of them, they put a plan that God planned everything. Nothing will change because he planned it. In this case, I have no free will. If I made a sin, if I sin, I can say to myself, this is what the God will. If God want me not to sin, he will not let me sin. If God need me to come back to him, I will come back to him. Otherwise, it is according to him. The other one, God just take a break. He create the whole and let us to do whatever we want. In this case, he will not God, he present himself. He is Almighty God, because if all of us do whatever we want, at a certain point, my free will, it will be conflict with your choice as when you are practicing your free will. So it will be big mess. It will be a big mess. It is a contradiction between the thoughts. But those 2 points of view can lead us for a bad behavior. For people, they careless, or people are depressed, or people they do whatever they want because God take a vacation. What the right one? How we can comprehend that I have a free will, and on the same time God plan everything. How we can do that one? The first point, God knows with certainty what flow from a necessarily order of course, but he also knows for certain what free choice we will make. God knows the cause, and as well he knows what I will choose, because he is all-knowing God, omniscient. He is all-knowing God. He knows what's going on. So the future in this case, second point, in the Orthodox way, the future is determined from a standpoint of God for knowledge, but free from vantage of our free will. We are free to do, but God used our free will to control the whole world. God knows that Judah will give him, he will surround him to the chief priest. He know that one. He know this person, if according the cause, according his personality, is easy to fall in love with money. He will get frustrated when I let the lady pour the perfume on my foot. And he will choose by his own free will that choice. So I'll come at that time, and I'll choose him as a disciple for me. I'll give him all the options to choose the right choice, but I know that he will choose that bad choice. Sometimes that one, it is sophisticated, but let me explain it in one simple example. Anybody love football or soccer? if like today there is a big soccer match, and whatever, my favorite team just lost on that one, and we recorded that one. Second day, I met Michael and tell him, you know what, I didn't watch you, I didn't have a chance to watch it, but Michael watched it. Can you watch it with me? Michael said, yes, okay, let's watch it. We went to his home, we put it in a big screen, we started to watch it, and I get very excited. Oh, my team, it is almost go to score. Michael said, no, they will not. Because Michael knows the score. He knows what happened. Okay? Since Michael knows what happened yesterday, that one, it will reflect on the player. He will not score. It is very, very simple example for the free will. So God knows what we'll do, what our way of thinking, our way of choosing, and what we will choose. But what we will choose it, we'll choose it in our free will. But he knows what is going on. So he chooses my free will and use what my action, I'll take it. Michael action will take it. Christina action will take it, and then he rule the whole world. Sophisticated, yes, but God different from us. Who can be the counselor for God? But it is the way God presented for him. There is a logic behind that one. The Bible, it is full of that. That one can explain to us when say that one, God say that one, I'll change my mind. Oh, God, he changed his mind. He doesn't know. No, he knows. What he's reflect when he said, I change my mind, I will not destroy the city. It means the people change their choices so they will not be under my wrath. It will not be under my punishment. Not because I change my mind, because they change their choices. But the Bible put it on that way. Bible put it on that way. That one will be clear, and it will be like make a sense now for us if we say God foreknowledge. God foreknowledge, that's mean he will not change, but he knows my motives and my choice as well. And he put it that one together to know what will happen for certain in the future. If we take another point, how God controlled the whole world. If you go for the extreme authority, God controlled and determines the entire universe and all action in it. God just control as if he wrote a novel. It must happen. God is in complete charge of all that happen and will happen, including all free choice of his creation. In this case, it will not be a free choice for anybody, because we are like actors just to do our roles on the play. So it is not true. So in this case, if it is a situation why he let Adam to fall from the garden, he can prevent that one. In this case, it will be not a good story. But now we can know the salvation in different perspective. Although I choose as a human being to die, he give me an option to live again. And that option to live again, it is based on my free will to choose him again or not to choose him again. I am I am before the door, knocking. If you open, I'll come in. I give you another option. I give you another opportunity. I give you another way to survive. But that one based on your free will, based on the free will. Let's go for the third point. Nothing we do can change this fixed plan, which he preordained from all the eternity. Nothing will change. Nothing will change. It is like a story. If you go on the other hand, for the extreme free will, God does not have a rigid control on the universe. That one, it doesn't match on the way God revealed himself to us. Second point, God gave away some of his authority to his creation when he gave them a free will. God said that one, my glory, I will not give it to anybody else. God does not determine human free act. He reacted to them as he become aware of them. That one very funny. When people say that one, let's see God what will say. Sometimes when we explain the history of salvation, we say that one, God started to think, what I'll do? Should I kill Adam? Should I ask him to repent? No, God hasn't that procedures. He knows what is going on. If you go for the middle one or the orthodox point of view, God is in control of all the universe, of a free creatures by his foreknowledge. I explained that one before, but we just write it here. He control a universe full of free creatures. He doesn't force anyone freedom, but he knows in advance exactly what everyone is going to freely do and how much persuasion will be needed for them to do it. God knows what's going. He knows his creation. They give them the options, and that one give us a better understanding about God. When God has a pity on a person, he knows how that feeling he face it, how pain he face it. So God deal with that one. If you remember, if you go for Mark 7, when they give him a man, he cannot see, he cannot hear, he cannot talk. When he started to heal him, he never healed him at once. He just took him aside, away. because if this man just to figure out that Jesus is a man can heal him, maybe he will start to shout, making some funny noises. The people will make fun of him. So he took him aside, and then he spit and touched his tongue. He put his fingers in his ears, and he said, Ephah, Ephah, and then the guy get healed. Why he is going for all that procedures? Because he knows the pain inside that man. He need not to let him down even internally. So that one give us, when we deal with God, he respect our free will and respect our emotion and respect our desire and respect our minds. That one will have better understanding who is our God. But if we go for the two extreme, we are just presenting either to present a God as a bad boss or a God like has no authority, like the Queen of England. She is a queen, but she cannot do anything. The third one, it is the same at the end, where we will go the same two perspective. The first one, God choose who will go to hell, who will go with him. From the side, nobody has no choices. In this case, there is no free will. The third one, whatever we are going to, it's that one based on our choices. And we agree for that point of view as Orthodox for that point. Hello? Questions? Objections?
I have a question.
Yep.
Is there a difference between the last two, the Orthodox and the extreme free will?
Yeah, of course. Big difference.
I'm missing it. Sorry.
Big difference. The extreme, which one extreme? Free will or the sovereignty of God?
No, on this screen, the predestination.
Yeah, a predestination. Sorry.
Predestination.
The predestination, it is according. God opened the door for us as Orthodox and to give us the choice to continue the journey with him. If we continue the journey with him, we will be with him forever. But the extreme authority of God, whatever you are doing, it is according God's choice. He chooses you to be in heaven, you will be in heaven. Whatever you are doing bad, if he chooses me not to be with him, whatever good I'm doing, whatever I am respecting him, I have a faith in him, if I have a bind in him, it will not make any difference.
No, I'm asking about the difference between the Orthodox and the extreme free will. It looks like it was like
it is based on God foreknowledge of who will choose him and who will not choose him, based on if I choose God, I'll be with him, and he knows that one. God knows that you are going to heaven. Okay, his foreknowledge, that one because his will or according to your free will? In Orthodox, according your free will, according you free will. That one different from God. God will all the people to be saved. Yes, that one his opinion, he's willing, but he will not force his willing on us. So our going to heaven based on our will, will choose him or will not choose him, will abide on him or will not abide to him. But he knows.
Sherif, I think what Andrew's point, and I'm seeing the same confusion point, that under Orthodox it says is based on God's foreknowledge of who will choose him and who will not. And under the extreme free will, it says this exact same thing is based on God's foreknowledge of who will choose him and who will not. So what is the difference? If I'm not misunderstanding Andrew's point, what's the difference of what you're saying Orthodox and extreme free will?
Yeah, we agree for this point. They are right on that one.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Can I offer a different perspective, because I did a little bit of studying on this. It sounds like what you're defining as the extremes would be Arminianism versus Calvinism, and Arminianism would be the extreme free will. Calvinism would be extreme predestination, in which we have no choice in anything we do. And it sounds like you're trying to reconcile the two. And the way that I would do that is through a system called Molinism, which is actually, it doesn't combine the two, but it explains through something called middle knowledge, not foreknowledge. That middle knowledge is the idea that God knows counterfactuals, which would be to say that God knows what might happen if this certain thing were to take place. And there's examples of that in the Bible. For example, David was being pursued by Saul, and David asked for the ephod, and he used the ephod to talk to, I guess it's sort of a thing where the ephod is a yes-no type thing, and he asked God if Saul would pursue him into the certain city, and the answer was yes. And then he asked if Saul pursued him in that city, would he overtake the city and would he kill him? And the answer was yes. And so David didn't do any of those things. And so he didn't go to that city. And so that actuality never really happened, but God knew that it was going to happen. And that's not foreknowledge, that would be middle knowledge. But the solution to, or the way that we can reconcile both free will and God's complete sovereignty is that he knows all counterfactuals prior to the creative decree. That is, prior to the moment of creation, God knew exactly what choices we would make and when, and he put every single person in precisely the place and time in a manner in which that is optimal for his plan before he created anything. And that is to say that he knew every alternative for every particular choice every single person would make, and therefore put them in exactly the place and time in which they would make the most optimal choices. I don't know. I'll let you go from there.
that one is here. We talk about that one. It is the way we got run, but I just call it is a foreknowledge. If you need to change the terminology, but it is the same concept. But from the case of David, that one different. God knows, because God knows what the action Saul will do, because he knows, he is God, he knows. You know what I mean? So he just opened his diary to David to tell him, okay, if you did that one, he will do that. If you did that, he will do that. But because God knows what's going on, it doesn't happen after that, because God tell him what's in Saul's mind. Like if you have like kind of sand here or there, like Pope Krollos or so was able to read, don't to go. So if he told you don't to go and you didn't go, that one will not happen. That one not because the plan has been changed, but because God tell him to tell you what the flow from the other person. You know what I mean? But the terminology. But first of all, I need to thank you about your reading about the two extremes, and that one is very common at US, at North America in general. In North America in general, that one, the two extremes. And the two extremes, I believe it is super destructive for the Christian faith, because one of them, it is humiliating God, the other one is humiliating man. And the God never accepted that. God, his full respect for the man he created, and he created as a rational creation, as a free will. That one is very common. If God didn't respect man, he will not redeem him. So always the Orthodox, I'm sorry to use the Orthodox way. Usually they use it in the books like the middle way or the balanced point of view. So the balanced point of view, if you translate it to Greek, it is the Orthodox. It is the middle way. It is the middle way or the straight way in the middle. It will not lean right or lean left. And that one has a better understanding for the scriptures. Who is the man? Who is the God? God is mighty, yes, but he create very good creation, rational creation, free has a, that creation has a free will, and he respected that. He respected that. But how he can work around that one different. Like if I pray, God will change what is going on. He will not. That one it is wrong question. But anyhow, yes, because he respect. If I come back to him, did I change my position in front of God? Yes. Did God change his mind? No, he didn't change his mind. Usually was people when go for bad idea, it is end up by bad behavior. So I saw from the extreme authority, I saw some people, I sat with them, they just, you know what, don't talk me, if God need me back, he will bring me back because he is God. No, it is based on you, not based on him. He did his part, he's watching, he's controlling, yes, but you have a rule, you have a part. I believe Saint Cyril, he's the first one, he's talking about the common work between us and God. And we even in the mass we are using the same. When the Abuna fill up the blood, he put like a certain amount of wine and certain amount of water, and the water it is very little compared to the wine, just to see there is a common willing between God wills and our will. It is interaction between both of us. There is a synchronization between us to work with that. Did I make myself clear?
Yes.
Any other objection? If I can answer. If I couldn't, I tell you guys I cannot.
So I don't think middle knowledge is an orthodox perspective. Middle knowledge is, you're basically saying God doesn't know the ultimate outcome. He just puts everything based on possibilities.
No, I didn't say that.
No, not you, Sherif. I'm talking about what Jason was saying in the reconciliation between extreme free will and extreme predestination or sovereignty, however you say it. But middle knowledge is not a middle ground per se.
It is not middle ground, but it is like kind of balanced. We are not mix and match between both of them, but it has a different perspective.
I'm refuting the middle knowledge concept totally. Middle knowledge, you're basically saying God doesn't have
the terminology. You mean the terminology?
Yeah, the terminology.
Okay.
So I agree with what you're saying about the Orthodox perspective.
Yeah.
But in terms of middle knowledge, it can't be used as the same way as the Orthodox perspective. It was started by a Catholic Jesuit priest in the 16th century. So like that's not something.
I'm not Catholic, by the way, just so you're
yeah,
aware.
I know. I know.
But I happen to agree with Molyneux, with Luis Molini on that particular subject. But middle knowledge is biblical. It's clearly when Jesus says that if I had performed these miracles in Sodom, then they would have repented. He knows the counterfactual.
I'm not disagreeing with the counterfactual. I'm saying that you said that he places everyone ultimately so that they make the ultimate position, ultimate correct or whatever decision. right?
Okay,
So
one
you're
thing.
saying you can't go against God's will
No,
because
no. I'm saying that God works within our will. Like he knows what choices we would make, and therefore he placed us in such a position throughout each individual so that they would make the most optimal position. And
so
I'm
he's
not
still
God.
manipulating, but he's still manipulating our decision.
Okay.
No. He's putting. So if I know what your favorite food is, and so then I offer you your favorite food versus something else, I'm not making up your choice for you, right? I'm just knowing beforehand which choice you would make. That's all. I didn't make it for you.
I didn't know your name.
My name is Jason.
Jason, one thing. You build all your case about that action. God said, if, that one you have to refer to the language they are using at that time. What I mean by that, because at that time when they are using a certain way of expressions. We cannot understand it according our time. We have to go back and understand it in their time. Sometimes they are using like exaggerations, you know what I mean? Like I don't know if you are familiar with Arabic. If I meet somebody, I tell him أنا موتته من الضرب. If I translate that one to the English, I kill him by beating them. You will call the cop for me. But when we say that one, it doesn't mean that. If you go for transfigurations between Matthew and Luke, you will see they said after 6 days, and on the Luke they say after the 8 days. The first one, he used the Jewish point of view of counting. They exclude the action and the day he's talking, so he's count the 6 days in between. And Matthew used the Greek word international calendar or way of counting. They count the day of action, the day of talking, and the in between. So if you compare both of them, you cannot say there's contradiction. I'm not talking about contradiction. I'm talking about the way of language. We cannot say on that action specifically we can build a new terminology, because if you go for others, God, he knows what is going on. A lot of Bible verse, he mentioned that one, nothing will change. He knows what is going on. He not predict. He not say it could happen or not could happen. There is nothing, because God has no time. For us, we assume tomorrow, we never know what will happen. We can predict. We will never know what's going on, the coronavirus effect in US or in Canada, but we can predict. For God, there is no time, there is no tomorrow, there is no yesterday. Everything, it is in front of him like a sheet of paper. So there is no surprises, there is no guessing for God. But since he has no guessing, but he knows what is going on, and what is going on based on our free will. It is a way. Sometimes it is very sophisticated, but if we apply for our life, maybe it will be more easier. The easiest way, we are free to do whatever we want. God knows what we will do. He's trying to help, but he will not force us. If you go for the extreme authority, do whatever you want, nothing will change, because there is a plan and the plan it will done. For the extreme free will, do whatever you want, God in vacation. We never know. For us, no. Maybe if we apply in our life, it will be more easier, because the terminology can deceive us a little bit.
I have a question. I everything that you just said, and this presentation is actually really good. Thank you so much for it.
Thank you.
Hopefully I learned a lot about this, but I do have a question about prayer. Okay.
About?
In this case, whenever we pray,
Yeah.
is that a way of, there's always been this argument of, is prayer a form of having God react to our, I guess, requests or demands or things like that? Or not demands, obviously, but God's reactiveness to our prayers, is that a way of like controlling something? Like, I don't know how to form the question.
Yeah. God will it change? Yes. Prayer, prayer will it change? Yes, it will change. Maybe it will change me or it change our circumstances. But because according our faith, there is no something called the precepts. What will happen tomorrow, God knows about it, not because he forced us to do it, but according all our prayer, our actions, what we will face it, we are part of it. There is a nice small book you can read about it from St. John, 4th century. They said that one, nobody can hurt you except yourself. Nothing can hurt you except yourself. That means you are responsible. So you can pray, yes. You can change, yes. But in this case, where is God? God knows, the God in control. And he will change based on your prayer. You will pray tomorrow. He will change after tomorrow for you, for your condition, based on your free will, but he knows what is going on. Clear or not clear, Andrew?
Yeah, he was actually asking it for me. So I just want to make sure I'm understanding this correctly. So what God obviously asks us to pray, and he says, ask anything in my name and you will receive, and knock and I shall open, and all of that. So I guess I've always had a problem understanding this, because I feel like us praying changes what God was already going to do. But is it fair to say that he already promised us that he will act if we pray? So in us praying, we are, like we're choosing, like you've been saying this whole presentation, like we're choosing to do what God said to do, and therefore he's holding up like his end of the deal.
Yep. Yes, I agree with you. Yeah, let me explain that one. He will, for sure, he hear our prayers, but how he react according our prayer, according his wisdom, according his love, according a lot of stuff we never know it, but for sure he hear us. Let me give you an example. In the Old Testament, there is a very famous prophet, and he was depressed. He will tell me the name after I finish. And from the depths of his depression, he asked God to take him, to let him die. This guy didn't die yet. If God just responds to his prayer, he will be in very bad position. But in God's wisdom, he heard him and he knows what is behind his questions, so he comforted him. Usually, when we say, in apologetic especially, when you answer a question, you must answer the questionnaires, not the questions. Sometimes people ask questions, and because they have their own problem, so they are forming the question not to hear an answer, but for people to hear their pain. I remember Ravi Zacharias, and one times he went to heaven. He said that one, when he's still young preacher, and he was full of energy. And a lady just came to him, ask him, why God allow suffering? Why God allow pain? And he said, I was preparing my mind to give her a lot of answers about that one while I'm thinking, and I'm taking my time, I'm praying. I take a look for the lady. I saw the lady has a child, has no arms. So I stopped and I cried, and I talk in totally different way. The lady, when she asked why God allows suffering, that one her question. But the real question was I am tired. I am in pain. Sometimes when we talk to God, God listen not to our word, but to our feeling, to our depression, to our frustrations. Maybe he can answer in different way.
Thank you.
What do you think?
I agree. I really like that. Thank you.
Any other objections? I can try to answer. If no, so we are okay, and I'll send the presentation to Michael. And I got my blessing from you guys today.
Thank you so much, Sherif.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thomas, you have any comments?
No, thank you so much, and thank you for your time. We all appreciate it. It's a lot of knowledge. So yeah, if you can share it, then Michael, I'll post it, or you can post it on the group for everyone to review it or to have it as reference.
Yep. Thanks again, Sherif.
Thank you.